1 South Oxford Avenue, Ventnor City. As part of your business tonight, you approved the payment of bills in excess of $1 million. In the past few days, I've had the opportunity to read audit reports conducted by the auditors retained by the city of Ventnor. And I wonder if the commissioners have looked through the bills they just approved for compliance with the recommendations of those audit reports. You don't have to answer that question yet. And the reason I say that is because deficiencies in the handling of the city's finances have occurred over the years, but the only reports that we have go back to 2005. Nevertheless, taking the reports ending in December of 2006, but actually published, I believe, in August of 2007, in finding number 2006-6, the auditor stated, and everything I'm saying from this point forward is a direct quote without embellishment from the audit reports. Finding number 2006-6. There were overcommitments of current fund appropriation line items and appropriation reserves line items prior to transfers. In addition, the city has overexpended appropriation and appropriation reserves balances as of December 31, 2006. The condition still exists for the year ended December 31, 2006. And the planned corrective action is hire a new chief financial officer. Recurrent training and better utilization of general ledger to be implemented to preclude reoccurrence. This recommendation was made in the audit report for the year ending December 31, 2006, and here we are in November of 2007, and I believe at the last public meeting you appointed a new CFO, and in fact you fired the old CFO without saying so, and this was the recommendation. What's very distressing is that the auditors found that a general ledger was not maintained. This goes back to the earliest audit report we could find under the Oprah request, dated and numbered 2005-1. In other of these findings, without reading from them at length, there were reports that cash receipts from the golf course were not accounted for, and later it says that that has been corrected. But it doesn't say for how many years those receipts were not accounted for. In a general description of financial mismanagement, in my words, the auditors pointed out year after year that payments were made for invoices without anyone certifying so who ordered the goods or services, and without anyone certifying that the goods or services were in fact received. In talking about the general ledger not being maintained, the auditors said that the poor nature of the financial records contained material misstatement. There were numerous violations under state law with regard to awarding contracts above the bid threshold, and other matters where the auditors cite specific legislation that was ignored. And even when corrective action was listed, that these matters will be taken care of, they reoccurred, in some instances year after year. For example, there were overcommitments, I quote, of current fund appropriation line items and appropriation reserves prior to transfers. In addition, the city had overexpended appropriation and appropriation reserve balances as of December 31, 2006. And as of December 31, 2006, it says, quote, the condition still exists when I discussed some of these findings, and I didn't cite all of them, I don't want to monopolize the meeting, with fellow residents and taxpayers of Ventnor, who happen to be small businessmen. I don't mean they're short, I mean they have small businesses. They were astounded at these violations because they told me without hesitation that their accountants told them that in their small businesses, not coming anywhere near the budget of this city, they had to maintain books in a certain way, including a general ledger and make accounting and so forth, and reconcile, and not have a big mystery at the end of the year as to what money was spent, where did it come from, was it appropriated, did it conform with state statute requirements and things of that sort. They were simply astounded at the lack of management. Now, I have to give credit where it's due, even though the correction was late, and the correction was not caught before the auditors spelled it out in bold letters, in that we have a new CFO, and I wish him the best. But the audit reports, it should be remembered, come from professionals who were hired by the city, and because of their profession, they tend to be polite. And in being polite, one has to read into their comments how serious the violations are that they cite. They have to be like diplomats. So I think if you read these comments and multiply maybe by a factor of 2, you might get closer to the true feeling and opinion of the auditors who wouldn't mind continuing to do business with the city.